Okay. Why is my camera looking like that? That's weird. Um, I'm not sure why it is. I know now now y'all could definitely hear me, but for some reason the it's I'm not sure what is causing it to run so much, but it shouldn't be running like that. I don't have anything else running, so that's why I find it interesting. Um, we'll close that because I don't really need the TikTok feed. I'm not going to be answering much questions through there. If they want any questions through TikTok, is just to make sure to do it. For some reason, my encoder is overloaded. Not entirely sure why. Um, I would have to stop the stream and then restart it, and I don't feel like doing that because then it closes everything out. I was like, it was just working fine earlier, but now for some reason it is not giving a smooth stream. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, such as viewers will experience buffering. So it's telling me that, but the thing is I've put the settings to not have that happen, and I'm still having issues. So it's interesting that it's telling me that, but I can't get the encoder to stop doing it. Which I find to be interesting because I'm not too exactly sure. I don't know. It's always an issue I've noticed when I have a stream. Either I forget to unmute myself or something's going on where it's not reading it or what the case may be. Let's see, we're closing down a couple of things, see if that helps. Shouldn't cause an issue. It's just the stream itself for some reason is doing that. We may have to restart this one real quick and see how it goes. We are on mobile also, so there's two different streams. Usually the phone one is the one that works the best for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Okay, you can hear you and it's not skipping. Okay, good. Because sometimes it does that. Sometimes I have issues with it. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's it's. I can't even control that at certain points anymore. But yeah, we are doing this on TikTok and we are doing this on YouTube. Basically, if anybody's on TikTok, they could jump on the YouTube and I can answer and view questions there. Not really answering anything through TikTok. Yeah, on the phone, it always seems to give me a better response when it comes to doing these streams. And it reaches out to more people and more people see it that way. For the one on the computer, for some reason, I don't know, it's always something that changes for some reason. It's just like it works. It was working last stream. The only thing was the audio, but then I changed it up. The internet is working fine because before it was the internet that was giving me issues, and now it's just like working fine. But we'll keep at it that way. Like I said, I did want to with the announcements. I do have like I was saying, a newsletter that I am working on. It's still not completed yet, but I am working on it so that basically I'll probably let me just show you a little snippet of it. But it's basically a newsletter. On the computer, it's more like a video. Okay. So this will be like a little snippet of what the. Give me 1 second. I have to move. Whoa, undo that. No, don't change it there. I need to change this here. I gotta make this smaller on the phone view. But this is like what the newsletter is gonna look like. At least this is the starting point of what I have so far. Just basically veteran awareness project, guiding veterans to benefits they've earned. That I guess is gonna be like the little slogan we go off of. And then it's just like this is just a newsletter. I haven't completed exactly how I want to lay out the format for it. So this is just me like playing around with it and just trying to work stuff into it so that way people can just see like this is what if you sign up for the newsletter, that's what's gonna happen. That's the logo. This is basically the logo for the veteran awareness project. I just need to make a banner for it. Do you have any references for Nexus letter or local doctors to make the connection for compensation? Leander, when you mean references, are you asking if I have like a specific person that I send people to, or because the thing is that I don't do that. I don't send you to any random doctor. I would suggest going to somebody that actually works with you and knows you, which that person can give a better in-depth talk about your history. Because a lot of people, there's other channels. There's a like Combat Craig and the Civ Div, and I think it's like VMD89. He used to be a VA raider, and then there's other entities out there that they have their own doctors that provide Nexus letters. I don't go through that avenue because of the fact that it's just like if you're sending somebody to that everybody has the same doctor, it looks kind of weird. That's that. I'm not saying that it has taken effect or it has influenced ratings in any which way, but it just starts looking weird if every VA rater sees the same doctor and you're all over the country. How were you getting actually medically seen by said person if you don't even live by them, kind of thing? He said, "I got 7 days." Oh yeah, you ship out in seven. You ship out in a week. Oh man, that's crazy. But yeah. So in that question, Leander, I don't have any references for that. I'm trying to build something up like that, but the thing is that takes knowing people in a way where you know who these people are, you know they are a good reference, and you know they are good at their job. There's plenty of doctors that are like that, but I have doctor friends which I went to college with, but like mental health and stuff like that. But I haven't spoken to him on something like this because, like I said, this is making a letter connecting your disability to your time in the military. And without having a medical history of it or backing, it's kind of hard to, you know, push that across. Because it's like if I can say, hey, I've been taking care of you for the past 15 years and you've been dealing with this for the past 15 years, that holds a lot of weight compared to somebody that just recently you just saw and they diagnose you with something. It can work, doesn't mean it doesn't, but I just think it holds more weight when you have that, because then filling out a DBQ with that person, they can go in depth on what you have as compared to a person that has no medical history with you, unless, well, most cases are they probably are providing it, but I don't. I'll just try to help you in the way I can. I'm not providing any of that sort. Um, but yeah, this is the newsletter. Uh, like I said, this is the Veteran Awareness Project. This is the logo. This is what we're going with. Just basically the transition from you being a service member to a civilian, and then that's highlighted there with the handshake, that being emphasized on, just because it's basically that transition to help assist veterans when they're going from that position to the next, so that way they have that informed. So that's one of the reasons we have that. With the newsletter is just basically like a welcome note. This is something that will just be I'll type in every week, just basically like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what something I want to emphasize to veterans, or something I want to make sure that they understand, or something that came across my feed, or any information of that sort, so that way I can push it along to you guys, like, hey, there's a thought process. Like I said, I already have those quizzes that are being posted on the community page every week. Every week, Monday through Friday, there is a different question that will be posted, and that is one way to also gauge how veterans are in understanding certain benefits. I could pull. Let me see. Let me pull up the questions real quick that I have already. I know I put out there. So the one on Friday was basically for asking, do veterans have to have a service connected disability to qualify for a VA loan? And we had 31 answers. 87% of them were false, which is the correct answer, and then 13% were true. Then the next question was the survivor's pension. Is it only available to veteran spouses? And got 18 answers, 44 true, 39 false. I don't know, 17%. The correct answer is false, because you can have it. You don't have to only be a spouse in order to get those survivors pensions. But it's just like, that's something that I just want to keep on doing, just to emphasize for veterans. Like, there's a lot of information out there, and if it's like, hey, if it's a question, maybe it can be random, but it can lead a person to a path to like try to find out what other information is within that, because it's just a brief overview on there. As we continue, I will start making videos on these questions to ask them and answer them, but go more in depth. What I'm currently working on is the education aspect of it. So I'll be creating a video that goes in depth into talking about the GI Bill, the Montgomery GI Bill, the Yellow Ribbon Program, which was one of the questions I also asked. And that one was a simple, what was it that I asked? I was just like, what is the Yellow Ribbon Program? And there was a lot of mixed answers on that one, where it's a program to cover and assist with additional tuition costs when it goes to, if you go to, let's say, a higher or more expensive university. The GI Bill only covers a certain amount per that school, but sometimes the Yellow Ribbon Program will provide the additional amount for you to go to that school. There's always requirements and there's always eligibility criteria that you have to meet, but those are programs that most people don't know to do that, because the GI Bill is only for 36 months, so it covers 36 months. But then you also have the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program, which is basically another GI Bill that you would be able to use to get your education, but that's more when it comes towards an employment thing. And like I said, for everything is meeting the criteria. The GI Bill, that one is straightforward because it's you served, you got your GI Bill. Whether it's for yourself or if you transferred it over to a dependent, that also changes. That kind of changes the situation also. But it's still benefits there. But those are the things that I'm making sure to like provide to veterans, so that way we get these questions going in the mind so that people understand that. Announcements, this is basically how it's going to be. You'll know when we have the workshop. This will be changed on a weekly basis. Of course, we always have it Sunday, 12 noon Central Time. Today I was a little thrown off because of the fact that we have we gained an hour, and I woke up refreshed, and I was just like, man, why do I feel so refreshed today? And then realized it was like because I had an extra hour that I didn't realize I had. Yeah. So that's there. And then we'll have announcements, and these will be this is one thing that I am putting on there. Developing a consultation platform. It will provide veterans the capabilities of scheduling a 1 hour one-on-one session via multiple platforms to be advised. No personal information required. Provide the issues and what you need assistance with so we can help you, guide you in the right direction. It's a free consultation. I'm not charging for this. This is just a free hour where it's, hey, we'll sit down, we'll talk about what issues you may have, what you filed already or what you didn't, or maybe give you a different outlook. We went ahead and did that with Annette Baker. We did that was it last week? I believe it was last week. And we went ahead and just did a consultation, and we just spoke about different things and what she was experienced with her claim, what items were going on, and then from there taking it to the point where it's just like, okay, what haven't we thought of, or what can we think of differently when it comes to filing these? And that's what I want to do with the consultation. It's not legal advice. It's just, hey, this is something that you might not have thought of or you haven't tried. It's a free hour. We're doing that. If it's anything past that, then yeah, we'll probably make it a charge or something. But it's free. It was like, look, all this information that's out here for veterans is free. All this information on the Code of Federal Regulations, on the M21, those are all documents that are available online and stuff like that. I don't think veterans should be getting charged for such information. Now, if it's like legal stuff that you need an attorney, then yes, go to that professional and do that. But if it's you being able to do the homework and being advised in something that maybe you didn't think of doing and can assist you, that's free of charge. That's something that, hey, maybe you just didn't know you can go through this avenue or do this to supplement your claim or assist you in making your claim. And those are the just simple things. So that's just like an hour. If people are interested, you have the email, which is on the YouTube link on the YouTube page. You can just click on there. Basically you can just email there and we can set something up. I'm going to try to make it so that I can put the calendar on here because I'm not doing too many of these. This will probably be like maybe like once a day, a couple of days, depending on other things I'm doing. But that way it'll be like a calendar where you can actually just sign up through it and just be able to do it. But of course, it's making sure like I'm not trying to waste your time and I don't want you to waste my time, kind of thing. So you sign up, you pick the date you would like the consultation, and that's when we go about doing it. There'll be questions on there like, hey, what kind of platform would you want the consultation on? Whether it's like Skype, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, other things. If other things are available and I can get out to it, we can use that also. But it's just basically as a one-on-one to like give you advice on how you can make your claim better and how you can think of things differently that you didn't expect or didn't think of, or nobody else has probably mentioned to you on there. Because a lot of people just try to keep it as a black and white thing with the VA and what you can and can't do. There is left limits and there is right limits to it. But the thing is most people don't know what those limits are. A lot of information is you are your best supporter. You have all your information, but the thing is making sure that you can quantify it and clarify it to a VA rater when they're looking at your information. Because once you can do that, then it's easier for you not to get something denied. You're not going to get something removed or a claim denied when you have pinpointed and clarified everything to the point where they fully understand, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I did, this is what I need to change, this is what I don't need to change, and stuff like that. And that's what helps assist veterans in the long run. And then also with the newsletter, it'll just be like biggest stories. So I'll try to sum up the biggest like the stuff that's come out with the biggest like effect towards veterans, and just have that out. And this was just basically like the $3 billion emergency funding approved, talking about that. The digital GI Bill project issues where they're trying to fix things and stuff like that. And then from there, it'll make sure to have the link on there so that way when you click on it and you receive it, you'll just be able to, it'll take you directly to that. So that way it's like you see it's the snippet and the summary of what we're talking about in the newsletter, but then you can actually go to the link and read the full item. So we do that. Quote is just basically, we'll try to find military quotes from like military personnel, generals, people that served all over any branch. Just put that quotation on there. The acknowledgement is just, this is to all the veterans. This newsletter is dedicated to the brave men and women who have served our nation. We honor your courage, your sacrifices, and your unwavering commitment to protecting the freedoms we hold dear. Thank you for your service, and we are here to support you in securing the benefits you have rightfully earned. And that's all. That's just to cover that, and basically people to understand that, see that like this is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to make sure we are accomplishing with this. We are not trying to accomplish anything else. It's just making sure that you yourself are better prepared and have the capabilities of doing what you need to be successful with a disability claim. That's the best way of me, I guess, explaining that, because most people don't tend to fully understand that it's those different levels and those small little instances, because the thing is, it's not large instances. It's little instances like this that help assist veterans when it comes to fixing their stuff. The thing is you have a lot of times where people are being explained or told certain things where it's just you're hearing certain things and you're going about certain things and it doesn't actually benefit you and it's not actually helping you. So those are the things that people need to realize. And this is just a let's get you up to date awareness brief. Senate approves veterans benefits bills, a PACT Act dashboard updates, equity initiative and veteran homelessness, VA physician matches. This is the expanded. I think this one is supposed to be separate, but it's just those little things like that. And then I just copied this one because it's probably going to be at least like 2 pages, and then the next page will just be like a closeout page or something like that. But we'll see how we change it and how we devise it. But this is just like a visual so people can see like, okay, this is what you're going to be receiving on the thing. So we're still putting it together, but this is like the sneak peek of the newsletter for the channel. One of the pages might include a full-on quiz, which will go through a Google form sheet. So basically, people will be able to fill it out, answer their questions. It'll be anonymous to whoever fills it out. But then that way, I can start formulating actual data that gives me the answers towards veterans having any issues that they may be having. So if it comes to, that's why the community questions daily is for me to be able to know, like, okay, this is something that a lot of veterans don't know about, or this is something that is strong. So maybe this is a video that I don't need to prioritize to make, because it's just like, okay, you need to make this, you got that, and then we go from there. But that's just a little sneak peek of that. Yeah. So that's the easy way of going about it. Just creating a newsletter for you guys. I just need to find it when it comes down to it. It's just like, it's kind of difficult, and that's what I've noticed. It's just like, I don't see a lot of other channels doing that, because it does take a lot of work to do this. It was just like, I'm doing this on my own, so it is the process of finding a website to host it at, finding a place where you would be able to click or like subscribe to an email to do it. So it's just finding all that stuff. But first is just creating that, and then having that information. The consultation, we've already done one. So, and it went, I believe it went well. Annette I got some information. I got some information on and some clarity, and that always helps. But it's always, that's the main thing, is just basically educating veterans on different things and doing about it. We go through random topics. We go through all topics. I had asked that question earlier, I think it was like a couple of months ago. Like, what do veterans want to talk about on these Q&As? Is it just Q&A where I just go with the flow of the questions, or is it a more direct response, like, hey, today we are talking about these items? Because I did do that before, when it came to like property tax exemptions. That's what I was doing for a lot of them. It was just like directly going through the states. So I still haven't finished all that, but I went down every single state and started explaining that. Thank you, Annette. I just think it's something that I haven't, like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to provide value to veterans that I haven't seen anywhere else. I haven't seen any other channel try to provide a quiz or ask questions so that they know what veterans is. Um, a lot of the channels is just trying to find ways to make money. Sorry to say, I'm not gonna lie about it. They're just trying to find ways to make money when it comes to the consultation service or do this. I was just like, cool, I understand that, but all these resources are free. I was just like, sometimes these veterans are just like overwhelmed because they don't know where to go, don't know what to ask. And it's just like, you're taking advantage of certain veterans sometimes by doing so and asking them like, hey, if you give me this amount of money, I'll help you file your claim. I was just like, anybody can file a claim. It's not difficult to file a claim. It's just knowing how to file it correctly. It's the only thing. It's just like I said, if it's a lawyer, an attorney, a VA attorney, accredited attorney, or like, yes, I understand asking for payment, but yes, and that's the one thing. People that I did go and vote. I already did my vote. I have my little sticker somewhere. Um, but that's something that also people need to pay attention to. A lot of people have not paid attention to the whole voting when it comes to the veteran stuff. I was just like, I hate to say it, but Project 2025 is something that people will be like, oh no, it's not associated. It is associated. It don't matter if it's a thought process and the possibility of being proposed for a lot of stuff. That's where a lot of veterans don't understand. And it's just like, it hurts a lot of these veterans when it comes to it. And that's why I was just like, a lot of veterans don't understand that Project 2025 is going to hurt more than it's going to benefit veterans. I was just like, the way they're trying to make cuts to Project 2025 and veterans benefits and how they file and stuff like that. That's something that I've spoken about a couple of times on different occasions. I did that on the last stream, and then it was like someone came in and was just like, showed me a video of a podcast of somebody, and it was some disabled veteran that he was just like talking about how they should be taking away benefits, and certain benefits, like compensation shouldn't be just given to people and stuff like that. It was just something very, well, the podcast didn't get much views, so I understand why, because the dude was just an idiot. But don't want to say he's an idiot, but it was basically clear as day, like he was not in tune with what veterans were dealing with. He just took it on his own. And like I said, that's the one thing that veterans need to realize. There's a lot of proposed changes that are coming out, and that led me to the proposed changes possibly in April for mental health, the tinnitus, and all those other issues. Those are different things that are in place, that are proposed. The same way with Project 2025, it is something that is not in place, but it could be proposed. And like I said, the biggest takeaway from the Project 2025, which is it's like a 30-page section for the veteran affairs thing. One of the highlights, which was a good thing, was like having veterans receive their disability claims within 30 days, or answer within 30 days if everything is like, if it's a fully developed claim. But then people fail to realize the part where they're trying to take away secondaries. And that's what I keep on harping on, is just like, it's not there. It hasn't been put into action. But if it does get put into action, all these veterans that are claiming secondary effects to anything else, and they make those connections to get to 100% through their secondaries, is gone. Like completely wiped. Like there's no secondary conditions for anything. So like I was explaining to that person when they asked, and it was just like, when it comes to you having tinnitus, if you have tinnitus, that ringing in your ear, which is constant and all that stuff, a lot of people have that as their primary service connected issue. And then they develop secondary issues after that. So they have the secondary issue of migraines, or it causes insomnia, or it causes different things. You won't be able to claim that. That's out the window. Because Project 2025 is trying to make it that it was just like, hey, we're going to save money if we only pay veterans for what the military caused. Not anything else. If it's a secondary issue, they don't care for. It's anything that was caused by the military will get compensation. So like I said, a lot of veterans ain't paying attention to that. They're just like, oh, this, and I was just like, look, those are the things you need to pay attention to. The items that are being proposed, a lot of the times with veterans is like they're finding out the information once the shit is in effect. It's too late, y'all. It's too late after the changes have been put into effect for us to make it change. Because then it's going through the ordeal of trying to make a change after it's been placed there, then finding the documentation, finding the medical support, finding all that stuff to get it to be changed. And a lot of the times we don't have that information, or we don't have the ability to get and obtain those resources to provide our backing to change these laws. Unless it's something that all veterans like actually come together to and change. It doesn't happen that way. So that's one thing that people also need to realize, is just like that change right there is a very big change. Changing the administration, changing the stuff when it comes to contracting out, which like I mentioned, contracting out is not a bad thing. The thing is there has to be a better accountability of who's being contracted out and their performance. If the person is not performing to it, then no. The thing is these people already know. Once the VA and they're in their contract, they know they're gonna get paid. Meaning they don't have to supply you with the best quality care when they already know they're getting that paycheck. So those are the things that people need to realize. Like the contracting thing helped, but at the same time, the figures show that even with the contracting, the care hasn't gotten that much better. But then you have certain individuals that, like I said, and that came with the conversation over the podcast. People need to realize that this is information that's there. The Code of Federal Regulations is there. If you have all the stuff you need to file a claim, file it now. Do not wait till April when they decide, you know what, we've made these changes. This is what's going to go into effect. I had the document. I can't remember what it was. I saw it on another channel. I was talking to another veteran that has a channel, and he showed me where it is. I think it was like regulations. Was it regulations.gov? Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. I think it was AR 82. Department of Veteran Affairs. And this is okay. So so this is the page. Gotta make this a bit larger so y'all can see it. So this is the page here. This is on regulations. .gov. So basically on this page, it basically gives you the regulations or what they talking about. Like it gives you notices, proposed rule, and it gives you the information. And I was just trying to find it because he showed me through here, and it shows the information of the proposed changes of what was going to happen with the mental health, because everybody is going off of, oh, these are the changes and stuff like that. And it's just like, these changes have not been put into effect. These are changes that are being placed or proposed. This is what they're thinking. This is what, hey, possibly we may make these changes, possibly we may not. This is what we have in the thought in the pipeline, basically. But if it finds out that, hey, medically this doesn't make sense, budget doesn't make sense, making these changes is going to overwhelm the, like, stuff like that, those things may be removed and changed. I'm trying to find, because I think it was it AR 82, because this is final rule. Because look, it'll give you proposed rule adjudicating for disability or death benefit claims based on toxic exposure. So basically changes that can happen because of the death claims when it comes to dying from toxic exposure. Bureau agency submissions. Trying to see where I can find the legal services. Notice. Can't remember what the number was. Was it AR? No, it was QA 82, 72. Can't remember what it was, but it was basically he found it through here, and he found the mental health. But it's like you have to go in depth and find all the stuff. Proposed rule exempting mental health peer support services from co-payments. Final proposed rule authority, proposed scholarship program, coverage to audio only telehealth. See, so I'm not entirely sure what it was. Let's see. We have a AQ72. Let me see. So these are the things that I look into, and then it's just like I said, you got to educate yourself on the different things. And see where it is. Where is Department of Veteran Affairs? Supporting our material. Download file. PDF. Let's see if this is it. Term policy approaches. Evaluate obstructive sleep mastery based on other criteria. So under the current rating schedule, veterans are rated at 0%, 30%, 50%, and 100% levels. Under this regulation, the VA proposes to add a 10% level, eliminate the 30% rating level, and update the rating criteria at the 0, 50, and 100% levels. So this is basically the document that says that, and y'all should be able to see that. It does fit into the thing, so y'all can see most of it. But this is basically like the criteria, and this is the document where they're trying to see. Let me see if I can. copy this and I'll put this in the chat so that way you have the link to it. So if you want to go to it, you can go and check out basically the regulation. You would download it yourself. This is a regulations.gov, so it comes from the site itself. So it'll give you that information where you can obtain it, look at it, and see what it is that they're possibly changing. The key word here is the proposes. Proposes. Like I said, this is something that people need to realize. In April, it'll be a proposed change. It's not going to be a indefinite automatic. Yo, Dash, what up, my man? That's what people need to realize when it comes to this. You have to look at the proposed items. The same way, like I said, Project 2025 is proposed things that may change, that they would like to change. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but the thing is if we're not aware about it and veterans are not knowing that information, that's stuff that, hey, on the back end, it's just like you might find out the wrong way, kind of thing. You may find out after the changes have been made. The same way with this mental health stuff. Everybody's going and saying, oh, April, it's going to change. It's not going to change in April. I can assure you it's not going to be April. Their findings and the information they have will be explained and brought out in April. April is basically the deadline for the VA to be like, you know what? This is what we plan to do. This is what's gonna happen. April is not going to be the effective date because they haven't proposed it yet and they haven't clarified what it is that these changes are. Like I said, here, these are the changes that are proposed. Like with sleep apnea. We'll just go over this whole thing and just go and see what it says. But it has it for a couple of things, and these are things that may be changed. Nothing that says they will be changed, but these are different items that may be changed. And it just goes summary, statement of need. The current version of the VA schedule of rating disabilities has not undergone a complete revision since 1945 and currently reflects outdated, inaccurate, or obsolete medical, scientific, and or economic information. This rule is being proposed to update medical terminology, incorporate medical advances, and provide disability compensation using more objective evaluation criteria consistent with current medical practices. And in the case of Annette being, if you don't mind me saying that, but it's just like the technology and the stuff is different from Vietnam era days. Different from Gulf War days, different from Desert Storm. The advancements that we have in technology has changed a lot of things. Like I said, in the Vietnam days, there was no x-ray where you just pressed the button and it popped up on the screen. They had to develop the x-rays. Times have changed. Now you have MRI machines that are all over the place where you can get an MRI for an issue, get seen. Got CAT scans, you got all this new equipment, all this new technology that assists you. That's why it's good to pay attention to what these proposed changes are going to be, because the thing is everybody is just paying attention to, look, they're paying attention to this: the schedule of rating disabilities, ears, nose, throat, and audiology. Schedule ratings for respiratory system, they're proposing to change. Sleep apnea, they're proposing to change. The mental health evaluations they're trying to change, and they're trying to separate the mental health and the eating disorders as two separate things. There's so much stuff that they're planning to think, but you got to remember, when this thing was created, when the CFR was created, it's old. They've been updating pieces by pieces slowly, but they are trying to make an overhaul of the changes. Like I said, with the digestive system, most people didn't know about the digestive system being changed and being able to file for GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and other digestive system issues. Most people were not aware that that happened on May 19th of this year. Most people don't file for those stuff. So mostly the changes are coming to those big percentage ratings. So that's why I tell people, it's just like, look, if you have your documentation, you have everything you have now, file now. Don't wait for these proposed changes, because these are just proposed. There's nothing set in stone that these are the changes that are going to happen. But this document here, which I put the link in the chat, these are, if you can download it and you can read it yourself, and this goes in depth on, you got ears, nose, throat, which will involve tinnitus, audiology, respiratory system. Where's the next one? Let's see. This is all the pulmonary stuff that they're seeing, and the money that's being changed and all that stuff. That's for the respiratory system. Where's the next one? You know, I know I saw sleep apnea in here somewhere. But let's just go over this document so that people get that clarification. This is the same thing that I think it's veteran is VP or veterans DP, something like that, veterans BP or something like, I can't remember his tag, but he was the one that showed me. It was just like, hey, because like I said, on this channel, we like to make sure that we are going through the regulation. We're going through the specific documentation that is coming from the VA or coming from a government entity. This is not something that, oh, we read on military news or we read on Army Times or something like that. No, this is coming straight from the government administration or the VA department or the committees, the Senate committee, the House of Reps committee, the CFR, the M21. That's where we want to make sure that we are educating veterans on, so that they get this awareness and this information directly from where they need to get it. You're getting it from the VA. See, this is a VA Department of Affairs changes. And this one, it goes schedule for rating, disabilities, ears, nose, and that. Let's go back and see, because the other one, it was AQ 72. And then give me a second. And AQ 82. So we found this one. So we found that one. We'll look into it in a bit. Let me go back and find AQ and find the other one, because I believe the other one is the one that does the I think this one is it, to publish mental disorders. Download this file, PDF. And here's a regulatory impact analysis for schedule for rating disabilities. Same thing as this one. Same thing. We got two different documents that we're just going to go over it and explain it. People will see it. And it's basically for audiology, schedule ratings for ears, nose, throat, and audiology and respiratory system. And then we will go over the mental disorders one. So that way we'll just go through it. I guess we'll just make this part. This will be the workshop today, basically trying to make sure veterans are aware of these are the proposed changes that will be mentioned in April or be solidified in April. April 2025, that is the set date. That is the date that they have. Where the hell did I put I've searched for it. I can't remember how I searched for it though. Yes, I did get it through here. Okay, so that's that one and this one. So we're gonna start it all from the top basically. This is the document that people have been. This is what people have been going all crazy for. So this is regulation.info, reginfo.gov, so another gov site, basically highlighting the stuff we're going over. And this one basically says, let's do it for the other one first. Title is Schedule of Rating Schedules for the stuff we mentioned. The Department of Veteran Affairs revises section of 38 CFR Part 3 and 4 that addresses the ear, nose, throat, audiology, and respiratory system. What most people have been concerned with is this right here. This date right here. This is what everybody has been going off of. basically making that statement where it says final action. The final action is when they are proposing to give you a definite answer. But this has been going on since February of 2022, which I like to explain to people. This has been going on, these changes, for the past going on 3 years now. People have been saying that there's going to be changes to mental health, changes to mental health. And I'm hoping that has not hesitated or drawn back or taken away veterans from actually filing their disability claims. I hope that they have actually gone and done it so that way they're not losing out on stuff because they've been waiting for so long because they thought this was going to change and it never did. That's for the ear, nose, and throat. This is the same one, but this is for mental health disorders. Same thing, same proposed date. So both of them have the same proposed date of making these changes in April. But as you can see, it's April 2025. Which basically, if they don't find anything conclusive or can't come into an agreement of the supposed or proposed changes, they will probably extend that like they've been extending it since 2022. If there is something that is solidified and they say, yes, these are what we agreed to and stuff like that, then they will provide an effective date. Then the effective date will take place, and that's when those changes will be in place. And that's something that I want to clarify, because that's the same thing that happened with the digestive system. The digestive system had those items. They went and they proposed changes. The changes were accepted, and then it became an effective date of May 19th, 2024. It wasn't like, hey, they decided, yes, we're going to make these changes, and then the next day it happens. That's not how it happens. It happens that you are getting this information. Yes, these are the changes. Effective date, whenever. So if it does happen that in April they do solidify and make these changes that we're going to read right now, then they would put an effective date of, hey, April will let y'all know. This is when this rule will come into effect, and this is when the changes will come into effect. Like I said, also, if you're checking out the, if you check out the, whatchamacallit, the CFR, when you look at the CFR, it'll tell you and it'll notify you in the CFR like, hey, these are the changes, and this version of Title 38, Chapter 1, Part 4, Schedule of Ratings is up to date as of this day. And then it'll tell you if you would like to look at the revised or the older version, you can go and click on it and change to the older one. But this would be like, hey, as of this date, this is the CFR we have on file that you can click on and look at. Private Cruise. Does he show up? Does my Private Cruise? My little assistant, man. These privates these days, man. Private Cruise. Nope, my assistant don't want to work today. He does not want to work today. So we're going to have to get you to CFR. Where's this guy at? See, when you have assistants and they don't work. Where are we at? Can we test this? So we'll put the CFRs in here so that way you can use the CFR if needed. Like I said, you can check that out and it'll give you the information that you need. Check the CFR, but like I said, it'll give you that. Yeah, discern dash. You are gonna get, like I said, you're gonna end up with 100% PNT. All those changes that you have, you're gonna get that. Yes, and they also send out a notice, Annette. The only issue is, Annette, that most of the time when they send that out, not everybody gets it. It's a very quiet notice, because the thing is like I said, for the digestive system changes, I found that information out because I was looking. I found that one looking through the stuff, and nowhere else. Like, the VA does not do a good job of pushing this information out. That's one thing. The VA does not provide enough information to push it out in the correct manner. There should be somehow just like, look, if you have you should be collecting everybody's email address or something and at least mass sending it out. It's an email. It's not going to take you that long. The same way as just like making this document and I can put it into the chat and people can click on it. They can provide it into an email like, hey, see set attachment for proposed changes. But look, the one thing I also want to point out about this document is look at the date on this. Look at the date on this. Yeah, they'll give you. You're gonna get a thing if you have all that stuff. You're gonna get it because you fall into that criteria. Like I showed you that other time. That criteria, once you fall into it, that's what bumps up your thing. But this is one thing I want people to realize. This is January 27th of 2022. So there's been a lot of channels and a lot of people that have been running on this gimmick of like, hey, we're going to keep you up to date of any changes or anything like that. I was just like, this document has been out since 2022, highlighting what they were proposing to change. It is going on 3 years now since this document came out. And they haven't solidified any of those changes. Because like I said, all technology keeps on advancing. Technology keeps changing. New methods of treatment and stuff like that are changing. So, oh, you have to sign up for the newsletter? Okay. I'll make sure to find that. And then do you know where exactly that newsletter is? Because that's something I was just like, it might have been something that they sent me and I just like disregarded it. So I guess that would be my fault too. Me being a veteran, as a veteran, just like, you know what? I don't even want to know about this right now. It was just like VA sent it and it's not my check and it's not an appointment reminder. I don't need it. And that happens a lot. Don't get me wrong. But see, look, both these documents, the mental health disorder and the ones is January of 2022 that they've been proposed. So that's when those things have supposedly been going to change and they haven't. But okay, so when I get my ratings back, do I submit evidence I did the surgery? No, submit it now, Dash. Any other evidence, anything that you have evidence for, submit it now. Don't wait till after you get the ratings. Because the thing is that is evidence that can be used to show what you have and what the issue is. Do not go off of the assumption that they just going to know you went through surgery. Because that VA rater don't know who you are, doesn't know what he's just going off of what is on your documents. If you have evidence showing the surgery and showing the paperwork and putting that, you submit it. If you have it now, you submit it. Once you get it, you can submit it. Because then it may become that it's already been, you have to find. Okay. But yeah, anything, if you have that evidence, Dash, if you already have it, that's why you got the surgery and all that stuff, submit that with there. Submit it. Because the thing is you want to make sure, like I said, you want to make that clear picture of them seeing like, yes, I do have this and I did already get the surgery for it. Because if it's not in your medical records and they don't have that, they're not going to see that. So you can just submit it as evidence and just like, hey, documentation for whatever surgery or disability claim, this surgery evidence, and submit it that way. Because now that VA rater has no excuse to look at this document, see that you had the surgery and be like, nah, I'm denying this. You see what I'm saying? Or they gave you that lower rating. Now, if you don't have that evidence, they're just going to go off of you claimed it. Oh yeah, we do see it in your record. You have had issues. Okay, we'll give you this percentage. But if you have that evidence with the surgery showing that you needed it for it, now it's just like, oh, he needed surgery to do this. Now we can bump it up because he needed surgery. Because most of the time when it comes to that, anything that it comes to like surgery and any specific things, that usually bumps your rating up because it's just like, it was so bad that you had to get it taken care of. It wasn't something that, medication and, got better or was, no, surgery was required to make sure that this service member was good. Otherwise it would have been bad. Kind of thing. So always put that information in there. Don't hesitate to do that. If you have evidence for anything, veterans, listen. If you have any information on any documentation, any kind of evidence when it comes to any of your claims, submit it. Don't worry about what it had. Like if it's something pertaining to a claim that you have, submit the evidence. Don't hesitate and wait, because like I said, you're extending your process if you're deciding to let me wait to get the ratings and then file again. In cases of like service connection for like secondaries, that's where it's important, because you want to make sure that primary gets connected, because you can't file for secondaries that are being caused by something if the primary is not connected, because then that throws out your whole thought process. But then, like I said, with the proposed Project 2025 things, you wouldn't even be able to file for those secondaries. So that's one thing that is just like, hey, if you got stuff you want to file for, you need to file for it now before any one of these two become president and the administration decides to change and make changes to save money. And it's always money towards veterans that they want to save money from, where they can take money from everywhere else, but the best cost saving somehow is always through veterans. I've never really understood that explanation, but that's something that people need to realize. And that's something they need to look at. But here you go. Current version of the VA, like I said, this is what's surprising to me. 1945 was the last time that the CFR was updated. How many wars haven't we had? Since 1945. So the end of World War II was the last time they made this. How hasn't technology like expanded since not like you see what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of stuff. That's why they've been trying to do it slowly, piece by piece. Mental health, audiology, throat nose, those are certain ones that is just like certain things have changed, certain things have not. The development of hearing aids has been a big factor. Hearing aids are way more advanced than it was back in the day. Back in the day, you had hearing loss, you were shit out of luck. There was no earpiece for you to put in and just be able to hear everything again. So things like that, those are the things that people need to realize. Those advancements and those changes are thing. Dash is not even like you shouldn't worry about it being that you have to submit new claims and stuff like that. Look, you have it, you're getting med boarded. Go through your med board, get that done. You're gonna get your ratings, and hopefully, like I really do hope you get that 100% PNT from the get. But then if not, got to look at the different criteria and the different stuff you have. Like, okay, I need this. I have this claim. Oh shit, I forgot to file this. Or maybe something gets denied or something. You got to remember, the main thing and the most important thing when it comes to filing for disability claims is getting the service connected. That is the most important aspect, and the most important thing you need to get is making sure your items are service connected. Because once your stuff is service connected, from there you can file for increases. You can file for increases then. Then from there you can get secondary connections for things that have gotten worse because of the primary. The most important thing is making sure your stuff is notated in the system and service connected. Doesn't matter if you file and stuff like that, because like I said, for some people it takes a long time to get their 100% PNT. And like I said, sometimes a lot of people, not everybody needs it. Well, not needs it or deserves it, because they don't have the issues to cause it. But down the line, your things may get worse. But you need to understand that without that service connection, you're a fish, you're just floating in the water. You ain't going nowhere. You need to make sure it's service connected. So as long as you're filing and you're getting out and you have all that criteria, all that documentation, all that evidence, and a service connected, from there it's easy for you to go, you know what? I'm going to file for an increase because this isn't rated as high as it should be. And that ups percentages. But if you have everything in writing, you have everything connected, that is the main thing, because that's where a lot of vets forget about the issue. It's just like, we need to make sure that we are service connected. It's not about what the rating, get it service connected, because after it's service connected, from there you can make sure you can up it. It'll go up because it'll increase. If it's not going to get any better, most of the stuff that any veteran claims does not get better over time. Very rarely does stuff get better over time. On my Army paperwork write up. The Army said I have 3 conditions from my records and I didn't file for them. The Army realized that I have them, didn't file. No, you can file for that shit now. Why would like that's the thing. You have it. The thing is you're gonna be out within a year, so most of the stuff they're gonna attribute to it anyway. But the thing is if you have conditions in your records, file for them. If they're in your records and they're telling you that they're in your records, file for them. Because the thing is just like the reason why they're probably trying to tell you not to file for it during your thing is because then it changes your DOD rating. Then it might lengthen your time. So basically, most of the time when they just want to get you out. Once they've decided that we need to get Dash out. If Dash has all this stuff, this is what we're medboarding him for. This is what we are. We ain't trying to extend this time or make this a longer process and stuff like that. Because that's where it is. It's just like when you get that 50% or more when it comes to DOD with the thing. So if you ain't filing for those, it's easy for them to say, hey, file for it after so that you get the VA rating, but not the DOD rating. That's why I say sometimes it's just like these people are just like conniving and stuff. If they identified stuff, that should have been in your file and they should have filed that for you. There's no reason why they shouldn't have filed it if they themselves are the ones telling you have those issues in the system. So basically you want to make sure that you're doing that. You want to make sure you're putting that information in there. File that shit. If you have stuff that they have documentation for, file it. Don't ask no questions. It was just like, look, the worst that can happen is they might extend your time. And I know you probably don't want that. But at the end of the day, they can't touch you. You getting medboarded. They can't mess with you. Because I didn't have a diagnosis. I was just like, you should ask your Pueblo, why can't you file for them now? That's what you definitely should go. That's what you should definitely ask. It was like, why can't I file for these conditions now and I have to file for them after? Because the thing is it's going to delay your medboard process. That's why that Pueblo was probably just like, look, you got these conditions, but you can file for them after. Because the thing is if you got diagnosed with them in service, it makes it a lot easier to prove if it's through the process of you getting out. Because if you're saying you don't have a diagnosis for it, but then when you get outside within that 1 year period, they will probably just give it to you and attribute to you because you have it in your medical records. But at the same time, if you don't have it in your records, but you got diagnosed with it, you need that in writing. You need to make sure you have that documentation provided so that way you don't have no issues on the back end. Because it's easy for them to be like, yeah, you can file for something afterwards. But if they're not providing you the documentation or going through the process of helping you get that documentation, then how are you going to file for it if you don't got the documentation, Dash? You see what I'm saying? That's why they're like, look, when it comes to the military trying to get you out, they'll try to get you out quick and they try to screw you over as much as possible. As long as it's not their headache, they cool with letting you go and be like, look, once you're out, Dash, that Pueblo don't give a damn. He don't care what you got to deal with those 3 conditions and that Pueblo is not going to make sure to get the documentation to you that you may need to provide the stuff. It's have all my exams done already. That's where I don't know the answer to with your Pueblo with the medboard process, Dash. That's where I think it may be the issue where that Pueblo probably sees like, look, all your shit is done. We examined you for everything. If you put these 3 conditions in there, put it on there. Shit, if I was you, try to see if you can write a Nexus letter. I know he ain't going to, but it'd be like, look, this is what you're saying. I was just like, can you put this in writing that we also found this on my thing? Ask him if he can do that, because it will probably reopen your file if you're going through and filing these issues again. And that's something that, they don't want to deal with because they already got you out the door. They don't want to go through the whole process again of like, you know what? If he files for this, we got to reopen this whole case and then we got to go through the motions of checking these 3 conditions. Oh no, then file for it. Just file the claim. You should probably still have your claim open and it should still be going through the process, and just add those 3 things to there. If you already have a claim Just add it on there. Because you should be able to go online and you should be able to put more stuff in there, even though if it's in the process. If it's in the process, then because that's the thing. If it's those certain claims, they're on there. It would end up being a new file to intent date. So depending on if those items basically get you to 100%, the 3 afterwards, your back pay and anything would only go till that point. The thing is that since you're only getting out recently and you haven't been out yet, your back pay isn't really going to be back pay because of the fact that you're going to get out of the army and you're just going to start getting your pay. Because that's the thing with the BDD process. It's just like you go through the motions of doing the CMP exams, doing the examinations and all that stuff. But it's basically so that you start getting your rating or your compensation like basically the next month or the following month. So in this case, if all that stuff is in there, submit the claim for it, add it to the claim that you already have. The only thing is that the Pueblo is not trying to add that documentation in there because of the fact that it's just like, you know what? That means we got to reopen this guy's file. We got to open this file up and then we got to redo everything, which may change the information, which is lazy on their part. But like I said, if those 3 items, I'll put it like this, Dash. If those 3 items that you would file for would get your DOD percentage higher, do it. I know it might suck because you got to stay in the military for longer, but at the end of the day, these people don't give a shit about you. You got to take care of yourself. If it means you got to, at least that's my opinion. That's my opinion. If it's gonna increase your DOD rating, fuck it. Submit it. Make those changes. It might take some more time for them to go through the whole thing and investigate it, but it could raise your DOD rating. If it's not gonna make a difference, but either way, you still file for those through the VA. If it's not, if the DOD rating is gonna stay the same, fine. Either way, you still need to file those through the VA. That you need to make sure that is in your claim. If it is something that they have recognized as conditions, you have to make sure you're putting that into your claim. You have the documentation. You're gonna be getting member out the military. You have to have that documentation in there. Just provide the documentation. Go about it that way. Annette, trust me. I wish we're gonna highlight this one. We're gonna highlight that statement right there. That's the statement that I think will everybody can agree with and understand. It was just like, this is something that I'm not sure why it isn't provided. This is something that I think needs to be provided for everyone because of the fact that it's like, you know what? We're getting out, but y'all don't provide us any assistance. Y'all don't provide us any guidance. It's basically like, hey, bro, you out, you out. Hey, girl, you out, you out. We don't care. You out. You deal with what you got to deal with on the outside. We did our part. You served us. We don't need you no more. You getting out. All right, peace, cool. That's where we have the problem because the education of these issues is not there. Most veterans, look, the backlog of, how can I put it? The backlog that we have with veterans not getting assistance would be so, it would be lessened by so much if we had veterans educated while they were getting out. So if you didn't have to try to figure it out on your own or try to pay a lawyer or get hit by one of these damn consulting sharks and all this stuff, we wouldn't have such an excess backlog. And that's why I say, like, that's why it's just like with veterans, a lot of the times it's like we are complaining about the wrong things. We are fighting about the wrong things. We are fighting about, oh, the VA sucks. They don't get the ratings right and stuff like that. I was just like, well, most of the veterans haven't been educated on ratings. Most veterans don't know how they're supposed to file or what they can file. Now, if we were to let veterans know when they were getting out, what they needed to file, what document they needed, what evidence they needed, what actual claim they can make, like what's the diagnostic code and stuff like that, we wouldn't have this many issues. We would not have this so-called backlog. Because the thing is it would just be a plain and simple, just like, oh, this is diagnostic code this. Okay. It was just like, why isn't that information there? Oh, Annette, the classes is trash. Them classes is trash. I was just like, I know in your time they didn't provide anything. Now they provide us shit. Just like that's the way it is. It was just like back in your day they didn't provide any classes. Now they provide classes, but them classes don't tell you anything. They don't highlight anything. Like literally, the class I got through the VA was literally, and I can probably attest to most of the veterans now that are becoming veterans now, going through the process where they are just basically giving you the generalized aspect of what it is to file a disability claim. They're not giving you the actual information that you need. They are going through the process and basically just telling you, like, you know what? This is your VA briefing. This is what the VA provides. This is the information the VA provides. These are this is how you go on and file a claim. I was just like, everybody's attentive and paying attention on that part. But then it's just like, you just basically, all you do is you tell me how to go to the website, how to create a login, how to go to the link or how to go to the specified thing, and then what to file. That's it. Put it in there, dash. All those things that you have, those are three different, especially the rhinitis. Because that's not PACT Act related, but you still have documentation. And if it's in your record, file it. But that's the thing. Most of like that briefing I got was crap. And I was just like, I got a lot of injuries. I have a lot of documentation. I have a lot of stuff, but it was just like, that doesn't get explained to you. They just basically tell you the fluff of like, hey, go to this link, go to this website. This is how you get it. That's it. That is the information I basically got. After that, that's when I was like, you know what? I need to start looking into this shit. I need to figure out what I can file, what I can't file. Because it's just like certain things you can file for don't mean anything. Like with my situation, like lower back and upper back, that's two different claims. I just put back problems. Luckily, the CMP examiner and the thing found and saw X-rays and MRIs up in both, and they did the separating for me. I didn't know you were separating those. That doesn't get explained. But if, let's say, my claim would have gotten denied because of the fact that I didn't separate those things and I just put back issues, I could have lost out on a rating that I didn't even know I could have had because it wasn't explained to me. And that's the problem we have. That's why it's just like a lot of people, it does not get explained to. You get this little class and stuff like that, and it's just like you don't really get any actual in-depth explanation. I was just like, look, you know how easy it could be for these people that are teaching these classes to be like, hey guys, I need you to make sure that you are checking Title 30, go to the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 38, Chapter 1, Part 4. Most people can know the Code of Federal Regulations. If you were a hazmat, you know about the Code of Federal Regulations. Not the same title, different section, different book, but it's still the Code of Federal Regulations. So when it came to ammo transport or transporting this, you couldn't put this caliber with that caliber, or you had to all like the compatibility when it came to doing the load and all that stuff. It was just like, that's something that, yeah, you got a class in the Army for it because you were transporting ammunition or round or whatever it was. That stuff gets explained. It's the same thing with the CFR, but nobody gets told that there's a 38 CFR to look into to get that and obtain that information. So that's why I was just like, it's crazy. See, look, yeah, we'll highlight that too. Hold on, we'll find that. And this is Dash's statement. Did I just cut off the top of this? Hold on, I gotta. There you go. But this is a statement Dash put. I was just like, that's the only reason I got to where I'm at is because I went and I did the same thing. I knew I was getting out the military a year prior. I made the decision, like, you know what? I'm not re-upping. If I do re-up, I get my son first class, which was very tempting. But then it's just the thought process is like, I still got to deal with these idiots. Then I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll spend this time with my family. But those are the instances there where people don't realize that it's just like, if you know you're getting out and you start preparing ahead of time, you find this information. You get to look at documents like this and you find that. But then when you see like, hey, they don't educate enough, because the thing is they give you that little overall briefing, and that overall briefing does not give you any in-depth analysis or in-depth description of what you need to do to be successful on the outside. They just basically, it's like, look, it was mandated by Congress, this is what you're gonna do. And what they basically did was basically, you know what, this is all we got to tell you. Nothing says I have to go in depth on this. I just got to make sure I provide you a soldier for life brief. There's nothing that says it has to be in depth. There's nothing in the regulation from them when Congress said that it has to actually be good. I just got to make sure you know it's available. And the thing is most of the time it's not even available, because most, like, you know how many people would save on their GI Bill if they knew about the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program? Do you know how many people would save their GI Bill if they knew about that? Because it's like, hey, for some, it was just like your job may translate when you're coming out the service. For some, your job may not translate. But if you are able to get out of the military and you have a program which can send you to school to further enhance your capabilities, and it's not out of pocket, and it's basically like the GI Bill, that is something game changing for a lot of veterans that they don't know about. I would just like to, it's like having a second GI Bill, because you can literally go use the VRE program. If you want to get, like, let's say you're, you work for S6 or communications or anything like that. You can go, and what do? You file for it, you do the VRE and be like, hey, look, I want to get certifications, or I want to get a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity, or whatever the case may be. Now the VRE is providing you the pay, and they're paying for your education to get that bachelor's in cybersecurity. Now, let's say you already did that. You completed it. Now it's like, you know what? I want to get a master's degree in that. Now you still have your full GI Bill you haven't even touched to do it. See what I'm saying? Like those things are crazy, because it's like you can now obtain 2 different degrees and you paid nothing for it, don't have any school loans for it and stuff like that. But that's stuff that doesn't get told to people. And stuff like this is like this is one thing. This is like one of these documents that is just like more people don't know about it, because the thing is this isn't always put out for people to know. It's there, but it's not automatically there for you to visualize it and see. So it's just like statement of need. Like I said, changes, and then this is where it says it. The purpose of these changes is to update medical terminology, incorporate medical advances that have occurred since last review, provide well-defined criteria in accordance with actual clinical practice. Dash, they have it for businesses. There's 4 different tracks when you use the VRE. There's one for long-term employment, there's one for business, and there's one for the other one. Hold on. See, because this is it here, and then the veteran readiness employment track. So these are the 4 tracks. You have reemployment track. If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability, the reemployment track can help you return to your former job and support your employer in meeting your needs. There's a rapid access to employment track. If you want to find a job or career that uses your existing skill set, the Rapid Access to Employment Track can help you with your job search. Self-employment track. If you're a service member or veteran with a service-connected disability and employment barrier, the self-employment track can help you start your own business. Employment through long-term services track. If you have a service-connected disability and employment barrier, we can help you get the education or training you need to find work in a different field. Independent living track. If you can't return to work right away, you may qualify for services that can help you live as independently as possible. So that's why I say Dash is just like, you got to look into the stuff. If you have, whenever any veteran has any question pertaining to anything, we need to look into the VA. We need to ask questions from different resources or find it within the thing. Because see, right now you were just under the thing that it was just for employment. Learn about the self. Yep, and that's what I said. Look, you just click on there. Hold on. There you go. See, that's why I like doing these things, because it's just like you help teach people different things and you help show them different aspects that they might not have known of or they got misinformation for. It's like, no, here we're gonna make sure we show you. Yeah, no, I know. Trust me, Dash, I know. But that's why I do these things. That's why I do these every Sunday, because it's like information like that is just like, I want to show people, it's just like, look, if you ask a question or you have a thought process of anything, there's no wrong answers. Well, there are wrong answers. There's no wrong questions when it comes to VA stuff. Because the thing is something gets explained, you have an entity that might say one thing, you have another entity that might say another. The same way, like, hey, look, you got some people that say, hey, the VA sucks. And then you got others that say the VA is great. And it's because they work at two different facilities, two different states, two different doctors. And everything is so specific and different at the same time that it's like you can't go off of just what somebody told, because like, that's the thing with these other channels. Some of them have been great for educating me. Some of them have not. I was just like, but that's why it's just like, you got to make sure you're doing your research. And sometimes, like I said, it is hard to do it. But if you hear anything, it's like when I was in the service. It was just like when I had a supervisor or any one of my leaders tell me this is what it is, I went and I looked it up. I was older. I had a different mentality. So it was just like, I'm not going off of what this grown man just told me. Because some way or somehow it might benefit him, it might be detrimental to him if I know the correct information. See what I'm saying? So that's the same thing when it comes to in the service and out. You got to make sure you're learning the regulation, learning the stuff, so that way it gives you that ability. Because if you would have if you would have never found this channel, Dash, and you would have never asked that question, you would have been under the assumption that, you know what, I can't use this to make my own business. And you would have never thought to do it again. And that's the problem we have with a lot of veterans. I was just like, they hear the stuff, they hear it from somebody, and it's just like, no. That's why I tell people, look, I will try to help assist you get to 100% P&T. I'm going to give you the resources. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You want to do that, you can go to one of these other channels and do the consulting and pay for it. And then it was just like, no, I'm going to show you what you can do that can actually assist you. Is it true I'm 100% P&T? My children will get free college state when school is federally funded, and they will get the foreign stipend, or they just get the stipend? That depends on your state, Dash. So you have to make sure that you check the state you're in. Each state has different state benefits when it comes to funding. A lot of states have it different when it comes to a veteran being 100% P&T. Once a veteran is 100 P&T, you just opened yourself up to basically all of the state benefits. Certain times in certain states is like, hey, you may have just 50% and you may get this benefit. But once you get to 100% P&T, it ups the benefit. So that's something that within your state, you have to check what your state benefits are. I'm gonna give you the link to that too. Where is it at? Give me a sec. Okay, here we go. This right here. So you go, is it? No, wrong one. This one just says it's for the Air Force, but you can use it because all veteran benefits are the same in the state. Doesn't matter what branch you served in, it's all the same thing. So whatever state you go, you could go on this link right here. It says My Air Force Benefits. Army has one also. I wasn't able to find a Marines, Coast Guard, or Space Force for some reason. I couldn't find their actual links to it. But you pick the state you from. Let's say you're from California. And then it'll give you the breakdown of state taxes, education benefits, employment benefits, unemployment insurance, Department of Motor Vehicles, health insurance, parks and recreation, miscellaneous benefits, U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs facilities in California, California Military Resource Locator, and resources. It'll literally give you a breakdown of everything you do. Let's go education benefits. So here it is. For California, California college tuition fee waivers for veterans dependents. The California college fee waivers for veterans dependents waives mandatory system-wide tuition and fees at any California community college, California State University, or University of California campus. This program does not cover books, parking, or room and board. Who is eligible? And then it gives you Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and those are the different types. Then you can go to a state like let's go to Texas because I know they got like I think it's like the Hazelwood Act. There we go. Texas Hazelwood Act, tuition exemption benefits for veterans. The Texas Hazelwood Act provides qualified veterans a tuition exemption of most fee charges for up to 150 credit hours at public institutions of higher education. This does not include living expenses, books, or supplies. Who's eligible? Exemption benefits, and this is the act for dependents and spouses. The spouse and dependent children of certain veterans are eligible for a tuition waiver at Texas state supported higher education institutions. Students can receive the tuition exemption for 150 credit hours. Who is eligible tells you eligibility requirements. And then it gives you the link, documentation, and stuff like that. So each state, that's the thing. The stipend is basically that is the chapter 35 benefits. So that is the dependents education assistance benefits. So basically, since you're 100% PNT, your spouse and children qualify for that stipend. That stipend is now $1,488 was what it used to be. It is now $1,526. $1,526 for full time. $1,200 for 3/4 of the time, and for half the time I think it's like 800 something. Can't remember the exact figures. But that's the figures for that. Once you have that, basically as long as they're enrolled in the school and stuff like that, they would get that stipend. So that's where it's just like, but like I said, each state has their own regulations, their own benefits and stuff like that, which is I think what sucks. I think it was just like if some of these should be provided across the country, but every state is a federalism, so everybody wants to do whatever they want to do and just tell the national government to kick rocks. So each state is different, and that's where it's just like depending on your state, your benefits can be extremely different. Because like I said, with this, state taxes, disability exemptions amounts, and it depends because some states they have it for like property tax exemptions that it's dependent on your disability rating. Some of them is just like you will get a bigger exemption the more disabled you are. For some, they just have a set criteria, just like, hey, if you're a veteran, you just receive this, whether you're 100% PNT or not. Some is like once you get to 100% PNT, you can get a higher exemption. So those are all different ones, but it's all dependent on the states. But your family will get that stipend once they enroll through an accredited, recognized higher education thing. For some, they can actually receive it their last year of high school. For some, I forget what the stipulation is for that. But when they're like, if they turn 18 early in high school, they can start receiving it then because they're still in school and receive that stipend. Wish I found the channel first when I was doing my research. And that's why Dash is just like, that's why I say that's what's the difference with my channels and other channels. Most of the other channels are like, some of them, like I said, some of them provide good information. But the thing is what they're trying to do, they're trying to make money. A lot of them are trying to make money. I make some money off of YouTube, but it's not something that is just like I'm going to try to exploit veterans to get this money. If you watch my video, or you watch my videos, or you watch my live and you donate, I make money that way. But besides that, me trying to get people to like, because a lot of these channels is just like, how can I entice veterans to come? That's why I think probably my channel hasn't like, my lives ain't all that crazy, because it's like I'm actually teaching you, or going in depth on things. A lot of these other channels, they're gonna try to basically get you to sign up for one of their services, and they don't give you that information for free, even though it's free. I was like, and they do give you those half-baked answers, and they give you the half-baked information, and they give you that gaslighting information like, hey Dash, make sure to tune in to my channel where I'm gonna make sure to let you know when the mental health ratings change. It's been 3 years. Like you still running the same gimmick for 3 years, talking about mental health changes are gonna happen, and you've been doing it for 3 years? Bro, there hasn't been a change. So what have you been trying to scare people? It's just like you make a video every now and then, oh, changes are coming. Bro, they've been coming for 3 years. You just gaslighting veterans into doing stuff. It's like, no, let's get them the actual information. Cause like most of the time it's just, this is my opinion and my belief and what I know. But at the same time, when I'm doing it, I'm making sure to show you where I found this information. So it's just like, hey, look, maybe I interpreted it wrong, but we gonna look at it both at the same time, and you gonna tell me what you thought from what I just told you or what I didn't tell you. Because some people will come in and just be like, oh, this is good. It was just like, oh, you're misleading veterans and stuff like that. Because you always have the haters. You always have those veterans that want to hate on the issue. It's just like, no, bro. I was just like, this is the information that I know is valuable and I know can assist veterans. I was just like, but you got to show veterans where it is. The same way the VA didn't do that job, I'm just trying to show you so that you know in depth where it is, so that way when you look it up, you can find information. It was like, damn, this is a legit source. This isn't me just making up shit that sounds like it can help you when there's no specific. Every veteran has a specific instance and a specific difference when it comes to anything they do. Everything is different. There's no one size fits all for veterans, and that's one thing that people don't realize and don't look at, and it's just like, no, everything is different. Did this just stop? I should just stop. Oh, well, we'll see. The TikTok one just failed on its own, I guess. Probably because I didn't put anything or say anything, so that probably failed. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, those are the resources that it's just like the resources you have to give people so that people are aware of those changes. Because a lot of these channels just like, look, if you're gonna gaslight veterans into telling them this information and that information, at least make sure to tell them where you're getting the information from, and not as just like what you believe. Some of these channels is just like they're trying to make reviews and make statements of the things that they found or they read, and then they try to interpret it in one way, which I understand. That's cool and all. There's nothing wrong with that. But then if it's factual information, you should be making sure to tell people like, hey, this is where I found this resource, or this is where my document is. Because that's the one thing I haven't seen with these other channels, is just like, most of the time is like, they'll talk about some veteran anything, but it isn't highlighted. It isn't shown. Like, y'all see what I do is just like, if we're talking about a specific item, I'm showing you exactly where the document is. I'm showing you exactly what the information is. So if you want you want to have extra money in your pocket, you want to have extra benefits, you want to gain extra benefits, you want to get this stuff, this is where you go to. This is where you're going to find the information. This is where the document is. This is like, hey, this is where the tax exemptions are. This is where you can go to school for free if you're a dependent, or go to school for free as a veteran. This is where you would have to go. But if it's just me telling you, hey, man, yeah, you can go to school for free. Anybody, like, It's gonna make you click, and it's gonna make you think, oh shit, let me check out what he's talking about. But then it's just like, oh, this is just like, no, certain states have certain benefits. There's the federal level benefits where everybody gets those benefits as a veteran, and then there's the specific ones. If you are a dependent or a spouse of a veteran and you can go to school for free, that is life changing for a family. If you can send your kid to school and on the back end you don't have to worry about any school loans, that is life changing. Cause you got to remember, most kids are going to school. They go to school. They got to get school loans. They go through school, and depending on what school it is, those loans can get pretty large. Now imagine you go to that school, get your stuff in there, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you don't got to pay for shit. You see what I'm saying? That's a big change when it comes to it. It's just like that education factor and that teaching factor, but it's just like most channels don't want to do that. They just want to give you information that benefits them, that makes you come back. Because it's like I said, if you notice, a lot of these channels are just like, oh, best. It is, and that's what I'm saying. It is life changing to know that you like to go through the process of you yourself doing it. It doesn't matter how many children you got. That's the crazy part. It was just like each one of your kids will get a stipend while they in school. It's only $1,500. Nothing crazy, but it's a tax-free $1,500. You know what that does to somebody when you can go to school and be like, you know what? I took out these loans to send them to school and stuff, but at least I know throughout the year they at least have $1,500 that if they need school books or they need food or need to buy clothes or whatever the thing, you got $1,500 allotted to you while you in school. That's pretty good. You may have to take out the loans because remember, they're not paying for the school loans. They are providing you a stipend that is tax-free monthly while the kid is enrolled. So basically that's still there, but at the same time, that's money you can save depending on what school they go to. Because sometimes, hey, look, sometimes people go to those community colleges, and with the community colleges, you gain money that way. You learn the stuff this way. And most of the time, if it's like a Pell Grant or something, you may be getting money back. So if you're getting money back while they in school, they still gonna get $1,500 monthly. And by the time, and then you got to remember, that's now. It's $1,526 now. By the time our kids actually are enrolled in school and are doing school, it's going to go up. Well, the prices of the school is probably going to go up too, but at the same time, it's still a tax-free check you can get. And then depending on what state you live in, you may get a bigger benefit. Like I said, look in Texas with the Hazelwood Act. Kids ain't paying. So imagine you go and you live in a state that is providing you a veteran benefit, whether it's because you're 100% P&T or not, because the stipend only happens when you're 100% P&T. But most state benefits, it's like, hey, that one didn't say you had to be fully disabled. That one just basically said you had to be a veteran. If you are a veteran and you're gaining those things, you're just gaining them. It's not going to be taken away from you. That information doesn't go away from you. So that's something that people need to understand. It's just like, once you're a veteran, you're always a veteran. That doesn't change. The thing is the information is different. I wish I had $1,500 tax free for school. I had to pay over 30. Woo, man. Annette, 300,000. Annette, are you still paying on that, Annette? Because the thing is if you become 100% P&T, you can have your stuff removed. So you can have your school loans forgiven once you get to 100% P&T. The thing is using a GI Bill, you use the GI Bill. If it weren't for the VRE program, because I don't think the VRE program was in existence in when you were going to school. So those are the different things I would say. It's not just you can the stipend overseas too, as long as it's a 4-year degree and a VA recognizes it overseas. Imagine college is a $1,200 a year, just a month covers a year of school. Yes, but the thing is Dash, there's that stipulation, that stipulation of being able to actually have an accredited, recognized school overseas is where the tough part comes in. Got no student loans. I got 99 credits. I use tuition assistance while I am in, so I only have a couple of classes left for now. So Dash, this is one thing that this is the stuff that I like to tell people. That makes it easier for veterans when it comes to doing this. If you've already or active duty service members, if you are active duty and you did tuition assistance and do that, you are able to take out school loans to finish your school. But keep this in mind, you got to be 100% P&T for this to work. If you're 100% permanent and total, you can get your loans, your school loans get forgiven one time. So in the case of, I finally finished paying. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Annette. Sorry you had to pay all that for schooling. That's great. That's what I was like. See this information and stuff as we keep on. That's what I said. It was just like, that's why I'm getting that master's in public administration to try to make sure I can write policies and make changes that can actually benefit veterans on the back end. Because a lot of this information isn't there. A lot of veterans don't understand that, don't hear about it, don't know of all these benefits that they keep on creating, and they're still creating more. But it takes time because not enough veterans are backing it, and that's what we need to work on. But you can go to school once you become 100% P&T. You get your loans forgiven one time, so it's a one-time thing. You just kept, yeah. That's what you have to do. And now, when it comes to school loans, you have to make extra payments. I was just like, just paying the minimum, you're going to end up with like 30 years worth of payments. You have to put that extra additional money every single month. And that, loan free, that's a great feeling. That is a great feeling to be loan free. When I got that notification that I didn't have to pay for my school loans because my stuff was forgiven because of becoming 100% P&T, it was like, it sucks that I had to become 100% P&T. It sucks I had to become 100% P&T to get my loans removed. That's the part that sucks, because it's like I had to be broken for y'all to decide, you know what, you ain't got to pay us back. But the thing is, it is a benefit that people don't know of, and they don't know that you can defer the forgiveness. So like I said, if I wanted to, I already deferred mine because I'm using my GI Bill to get my master's. But if you hadn't used your GI Bill yet, and like in the case for you, Dash, you can decide that if you want to go to school and finish your bachelor's, you can pay for it, get the loans, and then use the forgiveness to take care of it. Or you can finish, get your bachelor's, work on your master's, take out the loans and all that stuff, but that isn't really necessary because you could use your GI Bill. But you would be able to do it that way, and then on the back end, you can just have your loans forgiven because you deferred it till you are done with class. So now any school loans you have will be deferred at that point. So most people don't understand that you can defer your loan forgiveness once you're 100% P&T. If you are not 100% P&T and a veteran, that's where it sucks because you don't get that advantage. But that's only something that is given to veterans with 100% P&T. But those little instances there are things that most people don't realize or don't know about. It's just like the GI Bill goes a long way to teach you. GI Bill teaches you a lot. It gives you a lot. It's 36 months though. The VRE program, that's another one that helps you with employment, business, finding a new job or getting a new job. That helps you with that. The Montgomery GI Bill, because some people have that, and a lot of people, while they were, at least a lot of people that when I still joined, they were paying that $100 a month to put into the Montgomery GI Bill. So in order to get that money back for the Montgomery GI Bill, I've heard different things and I'm still trying to find a better answer. Since I started using my GI Bill, I cannot recoup that $1,200 until I'm done with my GI Bill, which I think is a stupid stipulation. Because I paid my $1,200. but I don't get it back till I finish my GI Bill, which is crazy because then what happens if I don't finish my GI Bill? Y'all just got a $1,200 from me that I paid into that I don't get back. That's kind of crazy. Like, I'm trying to find the criteria, just like, you know what? I'm using my GI Bill, but I paid for the Montgomery GI Bill. I don't have that one. I'm using the GI Bill. So I should be able to do it that way. But then there's little tricks and stuff that I've heard, but I haven't been able to find anything solid where you can use your Montgomery GI Bill, or at least that portion of it. But the Montgomery GI Bill does not provide you the BAH. And that's where a lot of people get thrown off, because a lot of people think, oh, if I use the Montgomery GI Bill, it's another GI Bill. No. The Montgomery one does not provide you that BAH. It provides you the payment for the school. The GI Bill will now give you that BAH, or that E5 with dependence BAH from the location of the school, and that gives you that information and it gives you that money monthly. But if you're 100% PNT, what happens? Now you can just go to all the education benefits, and your spouse and wife, your wife, kids, they go to school for free. Not free, but they get a stipend, and that stipend goes a long way. But that's a lot of information that is just like most veterans don't know about. Most veterans don't know about the VRE. Most people just know the GI Bill, and the GI Bill provides this. I was just like, there's different things that people can use, but you also have to make sure that you are looking within your state, because each state is different, and some states offer great benefits. Some states is dog shit for veterans, and it's just like, depending on how you go about it and what you're looking at, it's different. So the criteria and the information you get is very different from each state. So you have to make sure that you're checking with your state. Sometimes it's good to go to a VSO to do that in within the state, whether it's the American Legion, BFW, or anybody that you can even look for on the VA site. You get that information, and it gives you that information for you to be able to know, like, okay, my state provides this. I can go get my free license plate, or I can go get my free hunting license or fishing license, or I can get distinguished different stuff. There's a VIP you can only use towards a BS degree already. Yeah, see? So in cases like that, it's just like, those are the things that I think the service has to do better with. Or just like, look, if I paid anything into anything and I'm not using it, I should have the option to get my money back. No questions asked. It was my money. I paid for it. I put my money into it. There should be no stipulations as to, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that in order to get it back. I was like, no, I paid $1,200. I'm not using it. I would like my $1,200. I was like, I paid it. Y'all still have it, but I have to wait to finish my GI Bill. So in the case of what I'm doing now is I'm using my GI Bill, but then I might use the VRE program to get my PhD. So if I use it that way, then basically I have to expend my GI Bill, but my master's degree is only 2 years. I'm gonna still have a whole nother year's worth, or I think like 13, 14 months worth of GI Bill to use. And I can use that towards anything, but at the same time, until I don't spend every single dollar basically that they're giving me through the GI Bill, I'm not gonna be able to get that 1,200 back, and that's crazy. It's crazy just thinking about it, but it's just like, those are the certain instances and the certain things that it's just like most people don't pay attention to and don't realize, and that's where we need to like fix that. Um, because that's the thing. That's a lot of the information that most people don't understand. Is just like, when it comes to it, I was like, those are tons. Those are benefits and resources that most people have not even thought of, not even knew they were in existence. So those are the things that are just like educating veterans on, so that they're more aware. Nah, nah. I can tell you, some states just like straight up are trash. Some states where you would think are just like, nah, y'all got Fort Huachuca over there. I was just like, if you have any instant like, and that's what confuses the thing out of me. I know everybody has their like every state has their national guard. Why is it that we don't have more benefits, even though we know we have a National Guard? The Army has a National Guard for every state that I'm aware of. I don't think I'm incorrect in that statement. So you mean to tell me that with all these National Guards, you mean to tell me y'all can't provide better benefits for these service members, whether veteran or not? Oh, just like that's a lot of stuff there that is just like it's hard to understand. It's just like and in cases like yours and that where you have veterans that are senators. It's like when you have veteran representation in the thing, and it's just like stuff isn't happening. Like it's crazy. Like I'm in Kansas. I got Senator Moran. He's the co-chair, I think, for the Senate Veteran Affairs Committee. There's still legislation that needs to be changed here in the state. Some of the stuff is just literally Vietnam era stuff or like World War II era stuff that has not been updated. And I'm just like, bro, you work for this. This is what you do. You need to take care of the state. You take care of the state. All these vets in the state will be like, you know what, we gonna reelect this dude. But for some, it's just like there's benefits that should be across the board. When it comes to like education benefits, it's just like, look, if you a veteran, it doesn't like something that the state should provide. And it's not even like you're gonna pay because it's just like this will make sure that people are using a GI Bill. Like, hey, you know what? Within each state federally, if you are using your GI Bill, since we know that your GI Bill is only 36 months, if you are going to a 4-year school, the state will pay for the last year. That's just a thought for me. That's just something I would propose. I was just like, yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, it's more money. It was just like these people served our country and they were paying taxes while serving our country. They were paying themselves because the taxpayer money is still getting taxed out of my check while I'm serving, and then that same tax is paying me back. So it's just like I think I paid enough into the thing to be able to get a year's worth of a thing. Um, and especially depending on the taxes and the amount of taxes you paid and the levels you reached, you were paying more taxes to the fact in that case also. So that's something that is just like kind of hard to say I shouldn't be able to get this. Like, where does this funding from? I was just like, you could take it from the taxes I paid while I was serving. But it should be the GI Bill only covers 36 months. Why it only covers 36 months? No fucking idea. When to go to school, it's usually a 4-year degree. It's not called a 3-year degree. It is called a 4-year degree. So it's just like, why would you make sure to only cover 36 months when you know it takes 48 to complete a degree? Never understood that one either. But those are like slight changes that could happen. It'll be easy to happen. It won't be anything out of this world because it's just like, hey, if you are a veteran and you are using your GI Bill, which you earned, you are going to pay for the GI Bill will cover 36 months of your education. That last year, if needed, because you know some people do more classes and try to get it done. If needed, for your 4-year degree, we pay the last year. But the same thing goes into existence where it's just like you failed a class, you pay the shit back. Just how it was with tuition assistance. If you failed the class while you were attending it, you got your money back. And it's just the same thing that we could do that way. That way is just like you incentivize veterans, you incentivize somebody to join the military. Because the thing is like you can join the military and get your military tuition assistance to pay for school while you're in school. The thing is only a certain amount that you get per credit hour. Sometimes you got to pay out of pocket for if it's a more expensive school, so that you don't have that like GI Bill thing where it's just like it covers it till a certain degree, kind of, but not the same. But it's just like it's a 4-year college, yet you're only giving me 3 years to accomplish it. So you want me to rush that last year into other semesters, which I guess it depends because it's 36. Well, no, now that I think about it, I see why they do the 36 months. Because the thing is you're not in school for the whole 12 months. So you're in school that semester, you get summer off. If you do summer classes, that's 2 months. But if not, you're only taking like 8 months out of the thing. So okay, now I see the rationale. I just still think it should be 48 months. Give me a good 4 years. Your obligation to the Army is 8 years. Active or inactive, you got an 8 year commitment. You should be able to give me 4 years commitment back for my time in service. Plain and simple. But things change. Things can change. We'll work on policies and stuff like that. And but those are the things that people. Those little items are things that become big items because you learn about them. They get changed, and people it'll influence people in that manner. I would say doesn't always happen that way, which is the part that sucks. But it's just like this is stuff that we can use to our advantage and learn from, and that's what we have to make sure we're doing. But yeah, we were gonna go through this. We didn't even get through this whole thing. I'm gonna just go over this, just a summary, and that's just the changes that they're being proposed, and then from there we will call it a day. Yeah, if y'all on TikTok, I have my YouTube link up. Go to the bio, check on there, and you can watch the video from there. TikTok, I'm not really answering any questions through because I can't really pop it up anywhere. But yeah. So what we have for changes, so we left off on the summary. It says specifically the last major revision to the respiratory body system was in 96, and it was in 99 for ears, nose, and throat and audiology and body system. So the last changes were over 20 something years, almost approaching 30 years old, when the last time they actually made changes to the CFR. So that's why they're trying to make changes now. In those past 30 years, from 1996, I think that's when the first Apple, when was the first iPhone coming out? 96? It was in the 90s at some point. That's when the first Apple iPhone came out. So if you are just getting that at the beginning part, you've seen how it's progress with the technology and stuff like that. The scarier part, I think, would have to be is the AI factor that's going to change a lot of stuff, where AI is going to start being implemented into it. But we'll see. Benefits of rulemaking allows for more accurate and adequate disability evaluations, ensuring adequate compensation for veterans. Does it say what? Not updating the respiratory. VA considered not updating the rating criteria for these body systems. However, VA's policies objectives are to update terminology and yada, yada, yada. Evaluating obstructive sleep apnea based on other criteria. VA also considered using the sleep apnea hypopnea index and the post-transit time arousal index to evaluate the severity of obstructive sleep apnea. AHI is the average number of times an individual experiences either an apnea, lack of breathing for 10 seconds or more, or hypopnea, partial blockage of airway, per hour for every hour that the individual is asleep. Then it tells you a CD Academy thing. Normal AHI is considered to be less than 5. OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, is considered mild when AHI is between 5 and 15. Moderate AHI is between 15 and 30. And considered severe when AHI is more than 30. Additionally, the frequency is defined to increase post-transit time, which may serve as a marker for respiratory events and arousals in individuals with OSA. Assumptions and methodology of analysis. So 3 existing DC updates have a major budgetary impact. Defined for purposes of this methodology as greater than 100 million over 5 years. 23 existing and 2 new DC's diagnostic codes defined for purposes of this methodology as less than 100 million over 5 years and are described in less detail below. 48 existing and 6 new diagnostic codes have no updates or minor updates with no transfer costs or savings. So basically what they're saying is that with these proposed changes, these changes might make it so that you are, how can I put it? These changes are going to change to the fact that certain criteria may save money for them because of the fact that it's just like we're changing what the disability ratings are. So we're going to make it so it's certain criteria. So, and we'll keep on with this. So this is where it explains it more. So for sleep apnea, the current rating schedule for DC 6847, which that's the diagnostic code for sleep apnea, veterans are rated at 0%, 30%, 50%, and 100% levels. Under this regulation, the VA proposes to add a 10% level, eliminate the 30% rating, and update the criteria for the 0, 50, and 100. So basically, they're saying that they want to make it that it is a 0%, 10%, 50%, and 100%. So there won't be a 30 level anymore. Because the 30 level is basically, hold on, we can show what the 30 level is. What was that? 6847. Oh, damn. Is it here? Sleep apnea. So these are the different is it not showing up? Okay, hold on. 6847, that's under the respiratory thing. So table of contents, and we go to respiratory system. And 6847. So that we have it for sleep apnea. So basically, this is what the rating currently is. It's at 0, persistent daytime hypersomnolence. So basically, that's the one where you're like always tired and falling asleep kind. That's getting removed. They're going to change 0, so asymptomatic. Requires the CPAP machine will be the 50%, and then 100%. They're proposing to change those so that basically the 30%, the hypersomnolence will probably be changed to a different rating or a different criteria. Basically, like, hey, you're tired and stuff like that. It's not a respiratory issue. That is what it may be. They're changing into it. It's not a respiratory issue. It's just like, hey, you're a tired issue, so it may go to a different thing. Based on the changes to the rating criteria, compensation service assumes veterans rated 0 and 100% under the current rating schedule will receive the same ratings under the revised schedule. So basically it's saying 0, the asymptomatic, and the respiratory failure would not change. For veterans who receive a 30% rating under the current schedule, compensation service estimates 90% will receive a 0 rating, and the remaining 10% will receive a 10% rating under the revised schedule. That's a big change. Similarly, for veterans who receive a 50% rating under the current schedule, compensation estimates 90% will receive a 0% rating. 5% will receive a 10% rating, and 5% would receive a 50% rating under the revised schedule. So these are what they're saying would be the changes and how it would affect people. In 2020, 39,000 veterans were granted a service-connected rating for sleep apnea. Based on the 2020 distribution of sleep apnea extensions to the compensation roles, were rated at 30%, and 35,000 were rated at 50%. If rated under the revised criteria, 36,000 would have received a different rating under the revised criteria. To estimate the caseload, sleep apnea ascensions were projected as a percentage of the total veteran ascensions, yada, 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 savings. This is basically the way they see it. It's like, oh, this is the money we would save because of these rating changes. Here's the other part. VA proposes to delete diagnostic code 6260, tinnitus, and discontinue standalone evaluations for tinnitus. This is because current medicine reflects that tinnitus likely results from abnormal neural activity at some point or points in the auditory pathway, which is incorrectly interpreted by the brain as an actual sound. As a result, it is a symptom associated with an underlying condition, such as hearing loss, Meniere's disease, traumatic brain injury, and cerebral atherosclerosis, not an independent disease. Keep that in mind. That's basically removing tinnitus. And like I said, a lot of channels will do that and be like, hey, you can use tinnitus to get up to 90%. Not almost. Accordingly, the VA proposes to add a 10% evaluation level to DC 61 hearing loss, which will be assigned when tinnitus is diagnosed as part of or secondary to service connected hearing loss and the hearing loss is rated at 0%. So in my case, I have tinnitus, I have hearing loss, but it's not that severe. I would end up getting a 10%. This change would only apply to new claimants or those seeking an increased evaluation of already service connected tinnitus. Notice how that wasn't mentioned here. That was not mentioned here. You notice how it doesn't say that there. It doesn't say that for sleep apnea. It does not say that for sleep apnea. Unless I missed it. I didn't see it. This change would only apply to new claimants or those seeking an increased evaluation of already service connected tinnitus, which when they say an increased evaluation, it's either you're increasing your evaluation for your hearing or you may be filing an increase for something else, which is those secondaries. But nowhere did it say it didn't. For asthma, evaluations on 0, 10, and these are specific ones, but asthma is one. Peripheral vestibular disorders, nose, loss of part or scars, larynx, disease of salivary glands, cost associated with the new GFR listed on the thing. And this is basically how much it would cost with the changes. Because basically what they're doing is they're taking a survey of the information that is provided of all the veterans that they have. So they gain all that information and they put that together. It's just like, okay, if we have, let's say, all these caseloads of this is how much it would cost if we made this change. So they're going off of it like that. Like, how can we save money? How can we, or is it going to be more expensive under this criteria? Under all of these criteria, a lot of these criteria is going to save the VA money and take money away from veterans. But at the same time here, you don't see where it says for sleep apnea, you didn't say where it would take it and be like, hey, you already grandfathered in. Or for sleep apnea, basically. Which is an interesting factor. And then you have this for mental health. Let's see where it says what the changes are. VA could have simply decided to retain the current general rating for mental disorders. The current mental disorders was adopted in 96. It hasn't changed. See, so now retaining current general rating formula for mental disorders and eating disorders, basically based on with additional provisions to consider workplace accommodations or assistance. And this is where it's just like, hey, if you are a veteran and it's the Disability Act, you can ask to have certain, accommodations made for you while there. So mental health, if you feel like you have a panic attack, they provide a separate room that you can go into, calm down, stuff like that. Certain things is different for everybody, but currently, just for mental disorders, assigns an evaluation based on the severity of occupational and social impairment and relies on a constellation of symptoms from an outdated scale that excludes the effects of the environment. Because some veterans receive workplace accommodations and or assistance to manage their mental health symptoms, they could appear able to perform occupationally at a level higher than his or her system would otherwise indicate. This could make it difficult for claims processors to substantiate the evaluation and appropriate level of disability for a mental health condition. To address this, VA considered only updating the GRF to account for ameliorating effect that workplace accommodations and assistance may provide. By adding this consideration, VA would make it easier for claims processors to assign higher evaluations to veterans whose symptoms do not match their level of occupational function. However, VA did not consider this policy approach insufficient because it did not address the fact that the current GRF is based on signs and symptoms from DSM, which is the thing which has been replaced by DSM 5. Says trackers. In 2020, 1.8 million veterans were service connected for at least one mental disorder. The most prevalent mental disorders are post traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, and chronic adjustment disorder. Compensation Service provided the rating distribution by diagnostic code for these veterans. Compensation Service assumes that under the revised rating schedule, 100% of veterans with a 0% rating for mental disorders would request reevaluation under the new criteria, and half of those would be rated from 10 to 90% for mental disorders without request. Mental disorders would request reevaluation. Compensation Service further assumes that veterans requesting reevaluation would do so over a 3-year period, with 50% during the first year, 30%. So basically, reevaluating everybody. Compensation Service also provided assumptions for how the distribution of veterans of each disability rating level would change under the revised criteria. The assumptions were influenced in part by applying the lessons learned from a proof of concept study in which VA rated 85 available cases under the old rating criteria at each disability level to compare with cases rated under the new criteria level. Note that veterans currently service connected for a mental disorder would not have their rating reduced based on the revised criteria. Therefore, reevaluations would only result in a revised rating for veterans eligible for an increased rating under the revised formula. The assumptions are explained below. So basically telling you like, hey, the changes may, if you do file for an increase, that's when you would go and be changing to the thing. Appreciate you, Linda, as always. So that's the explanation right there. It's just basically you are going to get, if you are getting reevaluated or you are trying to file for an increase and this gets proposed and it gets put into action, you will fall under the new criteria when it comes to your evaluation. If you've already gotten your mental health disorder and you got your percentage, that is going to stay. That is not going to change. If you file for an increase or a change, then you start looking into the new criteria. I was like, so it explains it. For those who would have received a 0% evaluation under the old criteria, 100% would receive a 10%. So basically you would at least get a 10% now, even if you have, so if you have mental health disorders, and we go and show it. So 0 is a mental condition has been formally diagnosed, but symptoms are not severe enough either to interfere with occupational and social functioning or to require continuous medication. So basically that's saying this is being removed. So 0% isn't there. If you're claiming and you have something diagnosed, it may not be bad or anything. You would just get a 10% now. For those who have received a 10% evaluation under the old criteria, 83 would remain at 10, only 17 would go to 30%. For those who received a 30%, 74 would now be back down to 10, 22 would stay at the 30, and 4 would be evaluated. 4% would go up to 50. For those who received a 50% evaluation, 14% would receive a 30%, 36 would stay the same, and then 50 would go up. For those who have received a 70%, 55 would remain, 45 would receive 100%, and for those who have a 100% rating, 10% would drop down to 70, and then 90% would go up. So, like I said, this is how that changes stuff. I was like, these are just proposed changes. So it's just like all these changes will be, they're still being spoken about. There's nothing that's concrete, but the thing is this is what we have to pay attention to, because in April, that's when they're going to make their notification. And then they will provide a document like this that will highlight and say, hey, this is what we're changing to. This is what's going to happen. This is what your percentage rate would look like now. This is what Title 38 is going to change to. And that's what people need to pay attention to. You need to realize that those changes are going to happen and they can happen. Not necessarily going to be there, but it is a possibility. And that's what we have to look at, that it is a possible outcome of having these changes come to fruition because they're proposing it. But like I said, with the changes to medical health examinations, medications, different things that might change. Because remember, they are talking about possibly allowing medicinal marijuana or psychedelics to help with the PTSD or issues like that. If that changes, that may change the criteria for these ratings also, because of the fact that, hey, there's other medication that may not make it as severe, where you are more sociable or more your conditions are better in a workplace because you may be on certain medications and stuff like that. So that's why I think it's just like they're saying April because they want to give a time lapse. But we just had this psychedelic brief on through the committees, and that was, I think, this past month. That may be influenced towards what happens in April. So that's why it's like all these committee hearings and all that stuff is like a lot of veterans don't pay attention to it, but it's important for veterans to start paying attention to those meetings, those committee hearings and stuff like that. So we are more aware of what the government is planning to change. Because remember, the Department of Veteran Affairs is still a government entity, is still a government department, still run by the government. So when they propose these changes or talk about these changes, they're going to have them happen through them, but they will let us know, hey, these are what we're proposing. Do you agree with it? Do you not? Most of the time they ain't going to care anyway. But if every veteran gets together and be like, yo, that's not going to help anybody, then from there it's just like, okay, maybe we can tweak this. But if we would just leave it as be and don't say anything and don't try to actually make any waves towards it, what we say won't matter, and these changes will come into effect, and it's going to change a lot of things. Like I said, the same thing with Project 2025. It's not there, but it's the same thing as a document from here, because it's representatives and people that have worked in the government trying to make these changes. And if these changes do come into fruition, it's going to be a different landscape when it comes to becoming a veteran and getting benefits. How this helps, I don't understand, because I think it's just going to lessen the amount of people that want to serve this country when they know that on the back end, they're not going to be taken care of. That's why a lot of service members now don't want their kids joining, because they know what they went through and they don't want their kids to go through it. But if you're going to keep on reducing the benefits that people get after the fact that the military has done what it did to you, you're going to lessen the numbers also. But that's neither here or there till we have a concrete statement and information as to when these changes are going to happen, and when it does, that's what it is. Annette, that's the other thing. The election, like I said, the election has to do a lot with these changes too, because people tend to forget that when it comes to the election time, you got Donald Trump, you got Kamala Harris. Both of them are two different entities. Both of them have two different philosophies. And when it comes to veterans, there's two different philosophies to it. I was just like, one was part of the administration that signed into the PACT Act. One administration decided to help homeless veterans and tried to make contracting easier. Besides that, only one of them has mentioned and started talking about taking and making cuts from veteran benefits to save money. And that's only been on the Trump side. Haven't heard that from the Harris side. So those are things that people need to pay attention to. A lot of veterans, they just want to go to a certain direction. It was like, you vote how you please, you vote how you want to. Look into the policies that are going to affect you, because that's the most important part on where you should decide to vote. If these changes come into place, and then let's keep in mind, these changes come into place in April. So that'll be a reduction in a lot of benefits for a lot of people. If the secondaries get removed, that's going to take an effect to a lot of people also. So now mental health evaluations have changed. Tinnitus has changed. No secondaries has changed. Like I said, this is all proposed, but if all that goes through, it's going to be a different level. Oh, my man, Mike. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you becoming a member. Oh, you got the senator level too. He on top. Appreciate you, my man. But yeah, that's the one thing that people need to realize. There's just like either one of these administrations is just like we got to pay attention to what's happening because no matter what, just here, Mike, just talking about the giving information out for certain things and going over the actual like changes that are being proposed in April, just going over that and showing people the actual document. Like, so going over this document, which is old, but this is the document that people have been going over. In 2022, the changes to the mental health disorders and the changes to the audiology, throat, nose, sleep apnea, and stuff like that. All that stuff is there. And like I said, all of this is proposed, but there's changes that may be incoming with Project 2025. If certain criteria is taken from there, that affects it. The changes with these documents from the Veteran Affairs offices, that changes it. And like I said, it is definitely going to be a different landscape no matter which administration goes through. Whether it's Trump or Harris, it's not going to matter. Both these administrations, the veterans have to pay attention to what's going on. Because at the end of the day, if the Veteran Affairs Committee does something different, that has nothing to do with who the president is. Could be Harris, could be Trump. At the end of the day, changes are still incoming. What these changes are, these documents just basically show the proposed changes or the proposed possible changes. But there's nothing set in stone. This has been since 2022 where veterans have been telling or these channels have been telling veterans, it's like, oh, there's a change. The mental health is going to change. What to expect. It's like, no, this is the document. This is the document from regulations.gov that explains what they are proposing. And this is from 2022. I haven't seen an updated version of this. I was just like, that was February. I got to find another one to see if I can find anything up to date. Hey, nice. Nice, Mike. That increase. I was just like, yeah, all those things matter, man. Because you getting that rating, because it's basically you got the 70% there, and then you probably got another rating high enough that's probably like 40, which was probably like sleep apnea or something else. So you got the 70% in one, which got bumped to 100, and then you got the 50% in something else. So that puts you in the SMCS category. But yeah, that's all. It's all there. All this information there. All these things have been spoken about for a couple of years now. It's just we need to make sure that we're stopping. We're not gaslighting veterans into thinking these changes are happening right away. Like I said, with the mental health disorders and stuff like that, we did see that those changes. They basically said that those changes will not take into effect unless you're filing an increase. So basically, you'll be grandfathered in if you have your rating now. If you file for an increase, then you will be under the new criteria. For sleep apnea, as we were seeing, we didn't see anything that said that it may be any changes. But like I said, all of this is proposed. All the stuff that's being changed, medical advances and all that stuff, changes. Like I said, mental health can be changed if people have medicinal marijuana or they have psychedelics they can use. That can change mental health ratings also. So it's just like we just got to keep an eye on it, keep paying attention to all the different possible changes, because there's a lot of things that continue to change and a lot of things that are spoken about that we don't hear till last minute, and that's when it's the worst part. Like I said to anybody, if you got all your disability stuff straightened out, all your ratings, all your evidence and everything, file now. Don't try to wait till these changes upcoming. Because the thing is for a lot of for what we read off of these proposed things, there's gonna be a lot of people losing out on compensation. Because a lot of these ratings, none of these changes are boosting stuff. Oh, you got both 100% net. Oh, okay. Because it's basically you have to have at least those two. You have to have two ratings above that to get it to SMCS. Otherwise, they would have just left you at that. But since you have two ratings that are, one is above 70 and the other one, because it's above 70 or 100, and then the other one is above 70 or above 50. I gotta make sure. But that's why I know it's like you have to have one that's like major, and then the other one is still just as high, but you have both of those combined, and it gets you to SMCS. Yep. Congratulations, mama. It sucks you gotta do. It sucks you have to go through it, but I'm glad you're getting compensated for it. That's the best part. At least it's just like they recognized it and they ain't giving you a fight towards it. That's I think the best thing when it comes to this is just like making sure people are not how can I put it? Making sure people are at least compensated for the shit that they're going through. I was just like, it sucks we gotta go through it, but at least we know that there's something compensating for it because it's something we will continue to deal with for the rest of our lives. These are things that the VA sees that this shit ain't getting better. I was just like, yeah. But like I said, we just got to pay attention to these upcoming changes. All the new administration, either one of them, we just got to keep an eye on them, hold them accountable, start paying attention to these Senate committee, the Veteran Affairs Senate committees, the Veteran Affairs House committees. Oh, that's the one thing I wanted to make an announcement towards. I am looking to see, I have a friend that works in that realm, trying to see if I can get a job through the Veteran Affairs Committee. One of the two. Trying to see if I get that. The second one is I will probably start working. I'm looking to start working at my school as like a veteran liaison kind of thing. Just basically doing what I basically do now, but doing it for people in our school. So basically, if it comes to like benefits and stuff like that, because a lot of them is like dependents using the DEA benefits and they don't know any other benefits there. Just basically trying to educate them and do it like as a kind of like a work study kind of thing, I guess, while I'm finishing school, which I finish next semester, but then they have another position that might try to apply to, but we'll see. I forgot to make that as the announcements also, but we'll see. So we trying to make moves. We trying to make moves to actually create a difference and make a difference where we can and try to reach out more people. The channel has been doing better. Most of the time it's just the disability rates that gets a lot of people to tune in. But like I said, we have the newsletter, formulating it, we're putting it together. We just got to finalize it, see exactly what it is that we want to do, find a website to host it on so that way people know like, hey, you can subscribe to it and you'll get this information. And then if people have like suggestions or tweaks if possible, it's always good to hear it. Not saying that it's going to necessarily happen with suggestions, but there's something there. We do have the 1 hour consultation thing that we have done. Annette being our first consultation. But yeah, just making a bunch of things, working on it to do it. The channel's name is now the Veteran Awareness Project. That's what we're going with. That's the future of it. We're going to keep it that way. That's the name that's going to stay forever. And we'll go from there. But besides that, I ain't got nothing else. I got some homework I got to do. Hang out with the kids for a bit. Do a couple more research on things. Try to see if I can find more in-depth stuff on this proposed changes and see if there's anything that has been up to date or new. Hasn't been anything that's come out recently, but it's just something to keep an eye on to make sure like, hey, this is information that's there. This is stuff that may change and may not. We still got so we already in November. So April is not that far away till we decide to find something new like, hey, this is here. This is what we're going to do. This is the change that is happening. Like I said, effective dates may change depending on when it actually when it's concrete. Once it's concrete, then we know what these changes are and what's going to take into effect. Then from there, it's doing that deep dive into what do we need to do? How do we go about it? And going through the regulation to find it. But till then, if you got your shit straight, file now. Don't wait for these changes. Don't wait for it because these changes are going to lessen compensation for veterans. There's nothing here that I think says it's going to make it a bigger thing. The only thing is you might get 10% for hearing instead of the 0% for hearing loss. You might get that 10%, and then you might use that as a service connected. But tinnitus is something as an underlying thing. So the problem with the tinnitus one is that they are not finding it as a first service connected thing. They're saying that it's part of something else. So then that means you would have to be diagnosed with any of the other things. How do I get my DoD ID card? You can go to your whatever installation is close to you, Mike. You go to the installation. Once you go to the installation, you go through Deers. You probably have to set up an appointment through Deers. Through the Deers or because usually they had the Deers and the ID office right there next to each other. Make an appointment with them. Let them know. Retired disabled veteran. You go to them, you do it. Sometimes they have it on their website. It's better to just go in person so you can get the information there, set it up, because if they have walk-ins, you can just do it right then and there. And then you just get your ID card like that. That way you can go take your picture. They print it out for you. Sometimes they print it out right there, or sometimes they'll be like, oh, we'll mail it to you. And then from there, also remember that your family can get I believe they get a card also. That I'm not entirely sure, but I believe your family does get a like a kind of like a dependent card, basically, so that it allows them to get on base and stuff like that, since you are retired and 100%. But all right, yeah, that's all I got for today. Went for what, 2.5 hours? Not bad, pretty good stream, pretty good stream. Yeah, went over a couple of topics. I need to get this summarized, and then I'll make a video later on tonight, just push it out, just like the recap video. So it'll just summarize all the transcript, give me the information I need, and then I'll make a video just going over that, what we spoke about, so that way, if people want to tune in, they can go through it, because I don't really chop these videos up and like close it in, because it is 2 hours and 38 minutes. So it's a lot of information that we go over, but it's just like giving people the highlights. And I think that's something that I will also incorporate into the newsletter, so that way, if somebody wants to go back and tune in, I'll just put let me write that down. I'll be coming up with these ideas most of the time, and most of the time I don't write them down. So a lot of the shit that I should have been making for y'all, I haven't, because I forget. ADD is crazy, but I haven't been diagnosed with it. It's probably going to come soon. But I was just saying, what was I just saying? So, recap in newsletter. With link to Veteran Project Workshop video. So that way in the newsletter, people get the summary. Here's like, hey, this is what we went over this week in the summary. And then if you want to tune in, here's the link for it. But like I said, we're going to try to make sure that we get this. I'm going to try the newsletter I would like to get out before the end of the year. We ain't got much long. But all the videos that are being made, I am making them thing. And then at the beginning of the year, we will have it the same way we had almost on the shorts, the Did You Know shorts every week. We will try to make it that we have a video lined up every week. I say try. Next semester is my last semester of my master's degree program, and I'm taking 2 classes, and it might be they're lighter, so not as much reading, not that heavy of a focus, instead of taking 3 like I am now. So that'll afford me more time to make sure to do that. But as always, I appreciate everyone. Annette, thank you for the super chat and the donation. I appreciate that. Mike, appreciate you becoming a member again. Appreciate that as always. As always, look out for one another. Love one another, take care of one another, and be good to one another, and stay marvelous while doing it. I appreciate y'all time. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate y'all watching. If y'all have any suggestions, like as always, feel free to email me. You both have my information. Like I said, if you know anybody that needs any assistance or any questions, make sure to send them my way. Let's educate veterans as best we can and take care of you, and make sure you earn those benefits. And no, make sure you receive the benefits you earned. I'm just Cruz. I'll be signing out. I'll catch you on the next one. Y'all have a good rest of y'all Sunday. Have a great week. Make sure y'all go out and vote if you haven't. That's the main thing. Make sure y'all go out and vote. That's the most important thing right now. We got our election. Make sure you vote. Just Cruz, signing out. Peace.